So today we are going to be doing like a get it all done productive vlog style video because there is so much that I need to get done. And the first thing, I'm actually really excited, we are going to be heading out to a bunch of thrift stores because I'm getting ready to decorate for spring and I just want to thrift some things and like maybe do some DIYs and things like that. And so the only thing about the thrift store is you kind of have to like dedicate some time to going there, unless if you just stop around randomly. But today is my thrifting day and we're gonna head out to a bunch of different thrift stores. I'm sure there will be some that I haven't even been to yet, but I'm hoping that I can find a lot of fun stuff. I also want to decorate a lot with like stems and things like that. One of my favorite places to go for that is Hobby Lobby, maybe Michael's if they're having some sales, we might stop there as well. But we have a lot to get done and then I also want to get some more things done later on. We'll start with thrifting and kind of go from there. So let's head out. I wanna hear you say that you only want me. Okay, so today we are heading to several different thrift stores and I don't think I've actually been to any of them. I think these are all new to me. I usually stay towards like a different area of the valley, but this area in particular had several different thrift shops really close together, so I decided to try it out and I've got to say I pretty much hit the jackpot. I was so stoked with all the things that I found. So the first place that I stopped was this Salvation Army store and they had a really different vibe. And here they had, of course, just like your regular thrift store vibe, but then they also just had like some curated areas and I thought they had some really, really nice things. Now, one thing that I feel often isn't talked about when you thrift is blankets. Now, you definitely do want to wash them, but they're just like getting clothes at the thrift store and you can find a ton of different ones. Now, when I have spring decorating on my mind, I'm mostly thinking about throw blankets, but you can really look for any kind of blankets that you're needing. Also, I saw they had a ton of really cute baskets. Now, I do not need any more baskets right now, so I didn't pick any up, but they really have a lot of options and that's a great thing to look for when you're at the thrift store. And then, oh my gosh, this wreath, it was so pretty. I ended up picking this one up because I just thought it was in such good shape and absolutely perfect for spring. It was only $5.99 and I think I'm gonna end up hanging this on our hallway door right before you get into the living room. Another thing I found a ton of today, and I didn't pick any up, but I thought these were adorable. They have so many different pictures, and keep in mind when you're at the thrift store, you definitely don't need to pay attention to the color or texture of things because that's something that you can so easily change up just with some spray paint. You can add in some baking soda. You can even do like a stone spray paint, but there are just so many ways to change things up like that. And I don't often use pictures as a picture, but more so for if you're thinking to like display some flowers or something. Now, this is just a magazine rack, which I feel like we don't often have a lot of magazines anymore, but this would be so cute, especially if you have younger kids, to store books and just carry them from one room to the next. If I had younger kids still, I would absolutely pick this one up. One of the first places that I go in a thrift store is to check out the furniture, which I know Kyle doesn't like that. I tend to do that, but you can find a lot of really nice pieces, especially if you're looking for something specific. You can end up flipping a lot of these with not even a lot of work, and you can totally transform the piece. So do not look past thrifted furniture, and you can find something really unique that way. Next up, I just went through and looked at the pictures and the frame specifically, especially when you're looking at frames. Keep in mind that you can take out whatever pictures inside, even if it looks pretty permanent. A lot of times you can adjust that, and you can also spray paint the outside of the frame. So if you want it to be gold or black or white to match whatever decor style you have going, you can totally customize those frames and you will never beat that price. Another area that I really was excited about was all of the vases. I feel like vases are my favorite thing to decorate with, or just something that I really gravitate towards. But again, I don't focus on the color or even the texture, but instead kind of focus on the size and the shape, because those other things you can definitely change up. And I was amazed. There were a lot of really nice pieces, some of which, like this one, I actually don't even have to do anything to. This was originally from Target for $30 and it says it was sold for $8, but when I got to the register, it was marked down to half, so I got it for $4. And this is one that I can style by itself. I can put some florals in there and I don't have to do anything to it. Another thing that you can find a ton of in the thrift stores, especially right now during this time of year, is pots and planters. And since we just recently added all those plants to the DIY shelves in our bedroom, I ended up stealing some planters and pots from around the house. So I'm going to replenish them with any that I find today. Something else that I found a lot while I was thrifting today was a ton of really pretty crystal pieces, including this one. This is something so cool. You can either clean it up and leave it as is, or you can paint it, especially if you do like a textured paint, and you can make a cute little trinket dish, just something to hold your rings at night, or, you know, kind of whatever you're needing. But I just thought that was one of the cutest little things.
Call me back, where'd you go? There's not a trace of you or your clothes. I guess my friends were right, now I know. 'Cause all you left was me, and I know. What do I do? Everything I feel is coming true.
I saw they also had these, and these look just like the acrylic water bottle organizers that I have. They were only $4, and even if you get 2 of them, like, you're going to save a lot more than buying 2 acrylic organizers at the store. So even when it comes to organizing your home, don't look past the thrift store, because I found a lot of organization things and a lot of organization bins for a lot cheaper than you can find anywhere else, aside from Dollar Tree. But if you're not needing a ton of the same item, the thrift store is definitely the way to go. And then on my way out, I ended up finding more baskets, because I think those other ones were just kind of placed there randomly, and they just had so many to choose from. Oh my gosh, and then this picture, I literally almost picked this up. It was so pretty and it was in such good shape. I thought this would be so beautiful to style some fresh flowers on the kitchen island or something. I might go back and get that one, because I feel like, especially if you take pictures of things or record anything while you're at the thrift store and you look back on it, you're like, ah, I really should have picked that up. And that was definitely one of those pieces for me. Alrighty, on to thrift store number 2. Now, this one was definitely a bit different. This, I felt like they must not really get a lot of donations, but instead they must be buying things in bulk, because almost everything was new and almost everything was a lot higher priced. But with that being said, you were getting still a good deal. And oh my gosh, how pretty are these pictures? If you traveled a lot, oh my gosh, I just think that is so beautiful. They also had a lot more art pieces. They had some really pretty mirrors. I didn't feel like the price was the best on those, so I passed on them. But also, I thought these record players were so cool. I do not own any records or anything, but such a cool piece. And then this white dish was so pretty. It definitely seemed a little overpriced to me, but maybe I don't really know what I'm looking at. And then I also loved some of their glassware that they had. We are not in need of any glassware. I recently changed up our glasses and got some new ones, so I didn't need any of that, but those ones definitely stood out to me a little bit.
My best friend's telling me you're insane.
Alright, next we are going to our first Goodwill of the day. I feel like that's the default thrift store because they're just all over the place. But this Goodwill was so massive, but it was also so incredibly busy. Like, it was kind of hard to film in here just because I felt like I was constantly kind of bumping into everybody. But they had so many different pieces, and look at their furniture selection. Honestly, if I was needing a project, I would have picked up some of these pieces because they were really pretty. And this chair, I think it was actually missing like the back cushion, but this clip is not doing it justice. Like, it is so incredibly oversized and such good shape. I cannot emphasize to you enough to go to your thrift store when you're needing furniture. Check that out first. Check out Facebook Marketplace and you can find a ton of cool things. And then as I kind of went throughout the store, I think I just didn't maybe take as much time as I could have or should have, but I wanted to go to several different thrift stores. And so if I didn't see something pretty quickly while I was kind of digging through, I would just kind of move on. But as you can see, this thrift store was so packed. Like, it was not only packed with people, but every single shelf, every single aisle was just jam-packed with so many different finds. And I'm sure there were a lot of really good gems in there. I probably just didn't take the time to be sure to find them all. But I will say when you go to the thrift store, you have to be pretty picky when you go there because you're getting such good deals on things. And when you're, opening up the option of DIYing things and changing things up that way, I think it just makes so many pieces feel so much more interesting, but you can easily come home with things that you maybe like, but you don't have a place for it or you don't have a plan for it. Another area I always check out is the lamps, and I actually found a really, really cool lamp later on at a different thrift store. I didn't find any here, but lamps are a great thing to get, especially a lot of times you can find pairs if you need that. I haven't been very lucky in finding like standing lamps, but especially table lamps, there's always a good option. And oh my gosh, I was cracking up at this Kramer picture. If you watch Seinfeld, you know exactly who that is, but Kyle and I have watched Seinfeld forever, and I don't have a place for that in my home, but I kind of wanted to because it was pretty cool.
Feeling all alone when you come along, always make me feel at home, singing, hey, oh, got me so alive. If you wanna ride, baby, come to paradise. Is your soul still looking for someone?
I also always check out the plateware and like the kitchen items. Specifically, I'm always on the lookout for some Corelle plates. Corelle is my favorite plate ever, just because I feel like they are, one, super durable, like they are very lightweight. We've had a lot of our Corelle plates since Luke was a baby, back when we lived in Georgia, and if you can find them, you can get them for such a steal at the thrift store.
Can you feel the temperature rising? If you're down, then we can explore. Reach out for me.
All right, we are taking a quick little break from thrifting, and I'm actually sitting outside of Hobby Lobby. I was like passing it and I'm like, I'll just stop really quick, see what they have as far as stems go, and I'll probably just look around a little bit. But mostly I'm just trying to thrift things, kind of stay on budget a little bit better. So we're gonna head in there, see what they have, and then we'll continue on. But I've gotten some really fun things. I'll share a haul later on. Okay, one thing I will say is if you want to keep yourself on budget, go shopping at a thrift store first and you will kind of realize how expensive regular stores are. I feel like the prices wouldn't have bothered me as much if I had not just been in front of like $1, $2, $3 items. And then here it's like everything is $10 or $12 or, more even. But I will say when it comes to florals, you kind of get what you pay for. You can absolutely go to Dollar Tree and get a lot of stuff there. But if you want florals that are going to last, that are going to look more realistic and be really high quality, going to a place like Hobby Lobby especially is going to give you the best bang for your buck because they are florals that you can use year after year, season after season. And because they are mimicking real flowers, it's just something that never really goes out of style. And thankfully at Hobby Lobby, all of their florals were 40% off, so that helped with the budget a little bit, but I feel like they were still kind of on the pricier side, and so I was just very selective of the pieces that I did choose. Now, I ended up not stopping into Michael's on this day, but I kind of want to stop there. Let me know in the comments if you guys like Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Amazon. Just let me know, where do you get your florals and where do you feel like is the best bang for your buck? Aside from Dollar Tree, I know obviously Dollar Tree, you just can't beat $1.25, but for non-Dollar Tree florals, where do you think is best? So also at Hobby Lobby, I saw they had a lot of clearance items, including some of these faux plants, and they were marked down to like a third of what they normally were. They also had their whole spring line out. Now, the way that I like to decorate for spring and things like that is a little bit less obvious and in your face. I like it to feel bright and feel springy and feel, whatever. I don't know if springy is a word, but I just kind of like the vibe to feel like spring instead of having pictures on my wall that say spring or, even bunnies. Like, I don't really decorate for Easter. I just decorate for the whole season of spring. So I feel like for me, a lot of brighter colors, a lot of pastels, and a lot of florals, wicker items, greenery, those natural looking things, those are kind of what I gravitate towards. And I'm also kicking myself. I wanted to pick up that round woven bowl right there, and I completely forgot. I didn't immediately put it in my cart because even though it's something that I could use all year round, it was still part of the spring collection, meaning it was 40% off, and I think it would have been like around $10 or $9, something like that. And I think that would have been a steal and just something that I could use all over the house. And then they also had a ton of really pretty spring paintings and pictures. And I was kind of going between a few of them, but I wasn't really sure of the sizing. So I ended up taking a picture and we'll see if I come back for them. But that's another tip. If you're at the thrift store, you kind of have to jump on things. But if you're at a regular store like Hobby Lobby or Target, take a picture of it, go home, see if you even think about it again. And if you do, you can look back at the picture and see if you really actually love it or if it was just an in the moment thing. My next stop was Marshall's before we got back over to the thrift stores, and they had a lot of really pretty things. But I will say when you go to Marshall's and Home Goods, TJ Maxx, all of that, they definitely kind of gravitate towards Easter, I've noticed. They do have a lot of florals like in vases, which is awesome, but I actually love creating my own vases because then you can change out the florals and kind of customize them throughout the year. Whereas if you do buy something perfect for spring, you have to store away the whole vase, the whole greenery, like all the stuff. So that's kind of why I've began to kind of shy away from those items, but they are definitely super pretty. And then as I kind of walked through Marshall's, I saw a ton of really pretty pots, but really I felt like a majority of things was geared towards Easter, which I don't know about you guys, I just feel like I really only decorate for the seasons aside from Christmas. Like I do decorate for Christmas itself, but the rest of the holidays I mostly just kind of decorate for the season around them, just because I feel like it can feel a little much sometimes. And I feel like sometimes we're just too busy to decorate for every single holiday. Then they also had a ton of pretty vases and decor pieces and candlesticks. And again, like these I think are really good prices for a regular store. However, since I had just been shopping at a bunch of thrift stores, I was kind of in that money mindset. And all of the prices here just seemed like, oh my gosh, $12 for this? I could have got this for $2 at the thrift store. So I think that actually helped me not add anything to my cart in here. Now, I will say the picture frames are something that I will get from TJ Maxx. I think they're a little bit more expensive than, of course, a thrift store, but honestly, a lot of them are really pretty close in price, especially depending on what thrift store you go to and what size frames you're getting. But they just have a lot of really pretty ones that look very unique. And then you'll be happy to know I did not pick up any new notebooks, but I am a notebook girly and I just have a bit of a weak spot for notebooks, especially when they're really pretty. So I always have to peek, but I have been doing better, especially since doing all of my decluttering, and I haven't been buying any new notebooks until all the rest of mine are used up. Another thing that I love to check out at TJ Maxx and Marshall's and Home Goods is their pillows, but I will say that I usually just go looking at the pillows for inspiration, and then I look on Amazon for pillow covers that are inspired by the ones that I'm seeing here that I'm really liking. And again, the reason for that is because then I don't have to store away a ton of pillows on the off season, but instead I can just fold up the pillow covers and store them until next year. And another great find at TJ Maxx and Marshall's and all these stores is throw blankets. They had some really cute ones. Oh, and I almost bought this one right here, this checkerboard one. I just thought this was really pretty, and I know this is like a very trendy style right now, but I feel like it's also going to be fairly timeless, and I don't know if I should have got it or not. I mean, I think we don't need it, so I'm glad I didn't, I guess, but it is so pretty. And then do not forget to check out their kitchen section. They have such amazing deals. Like this set of mixing bowls looks just like the one that they always have at Costco, but they're in a lot more bold colors. And this was only $7 and it had those really pretty neutral colors. And I really was tempted to get this salad spinner because it just spun so easily. It was really good size. And then they had these expandable over the sink colanders for only $4.99. So if you're in need of kitchen items and you can't find what you need at the thrift store, head over to TJ Maxx and they are like the next best place to shop. This is also one of my favorite places to find really unique pottery pieces and vases and planters and pots because I feel like there's not a ton of duplicates and they have ones that just look a lot more high-end, and I think for the price, especially buying new, they are really well priced. But again, because I had just come from the thrift store, I was like I didn't want to pay $25 when I think I could find something similar and DIY it myself for like $4. All right, finally, we're on our way to our final thrift store for the day. There were more I wanted to stop at, but you know, it just takes a bit of time thrifting. So I ended up calling it a day after this, but I saw the cutest chairs. Like if I was in need of some chairs, they had so many cute ones that would be great to either sand and stain or paint. And they also had some really, really cool lamps and lampshades. I've really been wanting to find a lamp to add into our living room just to add a little bit more of that ambient light in there. And I found one that I'm going to be able to DIY, and it had a half price tag on it. So I got the lamp and the lampshade for like $3 or $4 total. And lamps are expensive at the regular store now. I feel like they're at least $50, sometimes even more. So getting something for under $5 is insane. Also, this dresser was in such good shape. I kind of wanted to pick it up, but I just can't take on another project at the moment. And then this little table is so cute. I'm getting ready to go up to Montana and help my mom with some apartments and kind of help her transform them. And if I was in Montana and I saw this table, this would fit the space so perfectly. I would have to DIY it, but it would be cute. Also, I thought if I had a little girl, these little teacups would be so cute. I know they're real, like you're supposed to use them for real, but I could imagine just having little tea parties with these, or if you do use teacups, they were just so adorable. I loved them. And this Goodwill was one of my favorites as well. Like they just had so much variety, but it wasn't as packed as that first Goodwill that we went to. Remember where like every single shelf was just jam-packed and it was kind of hard to see everything? This one I felt like you could really see all the pieces and just be able to appreciate them individually. But they had a ton of really great finds, and they had so many crystal pieces. Like this bowl I thought would be so pretty if you just added a little gold ribbon buff to the top rim. You could hold fruit in here, you could do some vase filler, like the possibilities are endless. And then another thing that you can always find at the thrift store is candlesticks. You almost never have to buy them brand new because you can always find different shapes, different sizes. And again, that's something that's super easy to customize just with a little spray paint. Now this is something so random, but I ended up picking it up because it was $1, and I will be doing a little project in my spring clean and decorate with me, which is coming this next week. So I will be using this binder for that. Okay, these are really cool. I know they look all messy and everything, but they were 99 cents, and I have such a cool idea planned for these. I'm really excited to use them in my spring clean and decorate video. I think they're gonna look really, really cool. And also I will be sharing a full haul of all the things that I ended up picking up from the thrift store a little bit later on in the video, as well as DIYing some of the pieces so that you can see my vision come to life and see like what they started as and what they ended up as. Next, I just continued on moseying through. It was really fun to go on this day and not have the kids with me and just be able to kind of take my time. But they had a ton of glassware. And again, as you're looking at glassware, you can think about keeping it simple and plain, or you can think about painting it, adding some baking soda for texture, spray painting, whatever. And you can just really change the feel of a piece. And I was surprised that I ended up finding several things from Target, and they weren't even that old, I don't think. And it just made me think like, man, I need to be more selective when you're at Target and not swoon over all the pretty things, because eventually they'll end up in the thrift store and you can get them for a lot cheaper. Alrighty, it is like 2 days later. I'm finally getting around to actually sharing the thrift haul with you, and then I'm actually going to start DIYing some of the pieces because I'm planning to decorate for spring tomorrow. I wanted to share what I spent today. So the first thrift store I spent $34. The next thrift store I spent $14. And then the third, I spent $21. And then I think at Hobby Lobby, I spent like $40. So Hobby Lobby was the most, but I did get like a good bit of stuff. I did pick up this wreath. How pretty is that? There's just like all different kind of dried flowers. They're not real or anything, but they could kind of pass for real. There's like lavender, lots of different colors. I love that it's kind of like in those muted tones, and this was like $5.99. Then next I got this really pretty glass vase. This one was actually from Target, normally $30, and I got it for $4. It's seriously such good size. I don't even think I need to do anything with this. Like it's just such a pretty piece on its own, but you could style flowers in here, or you could just add it to a shelf and add some height that way. But I love this one. I also got this little pot. It's kind of like a muted pink tone, and this one was like $2. Next, I grabbed this big piece. Now this one I am definitely going to flip. It will be amazing to see the transformation in this because right now it's like a very funky piece, but it's gonna end up looking super classy and just very, very pretty. So we'll DIY this in just a few. Next, I got this little trinket tray. I realized I think this is for cigarettes, so it's probably an ashtray, but whatever. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think I should keep it like that to put like rings and things like that overnight, or do you think I should paint it and make it look almost more like clay? All right, and then this is kind of a weird one. It says chestnut roaster on it, but it's made from clay. Now it does have the wording and that design on it, so I do think I'm gonna DIY this, but this will just be one of those really unique pieces that you don't always see everywhere, but I think it just has such cool lines. And then I randomly stopped by the clothing section of that thrift store and picked up some shirts. So I got a striped one, a plaid one like this, just this really pretty kind of like oatmeal color one, and it has some different stitching in it. For Noah, I ended up getting some swim shorts, so I got such a good steal on all this stuff. All right, so the next thrift store that I got stuff at, I did get this piece. This was $7.50, but it's just like a glass, like a hurricane style glass, but it has that leather wrapping around it and it has the stitching. I thought this was so pretty, and whenever I go to the thrift store, I like to get pieces that can style all year round. This is definitely one of those pieces. Now, I also picked up a tie, so nothing fancy here, but Kyle always matches my dresses on Sundays. I have a green dress and he does not have a green tie, so I picked him up a tie so now he can match me on Sunday. And then randomly, I also just got another shirt, and this one was $1.99, so super good deal. All right, let's stop at Hobby Lobby real quick. So this plant is fake, but I actually had one just like this in my office. It's normally $19.99, but they had this on sale for $10. So you can easily put this into a pot. This is like too small of a pot for this plant. Since it is a faux plant, you can actually put it on a high shelf. You can kind of put it wherever and just not worry about it. And then for the bulk of what I got at Hobby Lobby, it was florals and stems and greenery. So I did get these ones. I thought these flowers were so, so pretty. Then I also picked up these greenery pieces. Then to go in a smaller planter, I got these two. These you can kind of mix in together with whatever I like to kind of mix multiples together, and you can get just like a really full looking bunch. Then the last thing, I think this is where we spent $21, which seems crazy to me because this is like my biggest part of my haul. First off, I got these little easels. There is something on Amazon that I really, really am wanting, but it's a lot more expensive. When I saw these, I was like, this is basically gonna create the same concept. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and DIY these today. All right, I also got, this is so random too, I got a big binder. I love to get different prints for every season. I'll get some Christmas digital downloads from Etsy. I'll go to Walgreens, print those off. For spring, I do the same thing. For summer, like all the stuff, because you can get digital downloads for so inexpensive, and then you can print them off like an 8x10 for $4 at Walgreens. But here I'm going to get some clear envelope things, and then I can just flip through and see like which one do I want. But I thought this was a good deal, $1, and it's really nice and sturdy. Next, I got this. How pretty is this? It's a little bit tarnished, so I might end up either trying to clean it up or probably spray paint it. So you could really kind of style this anywhere you want in a shelving unit. This was only $1. I just thought this was so cool. This vase is so pretty. I just love the shape of it. My third Target find, $30, and I got it for $4.50. Now, I don't know that I love the color of this one, so I might end up spray painting this one to look like stone or something. Candlesticks are another great thing to find at the thrift store. You can find all different kinds, but I actually don't have any really chunky ones, and I thought this would be really pretty to add into the built-ins in our living room. $2.50 and $3.50 for the different sizes. I definitely will go ahead and paint these differently and change them up because they're pretty scratched up, and I'm not sure that I love the color. I also picked up another planter, again, to replace the ones that I stole for those shelves. I've been wanting to add in some ambient light into the living room, but lamps are so expensive. This one, I just love the shape of this. I thought this was really pretty, and they were having like orange tag day. So I got this lamp for $2.25. I got this big old lampshade and it was only $1.49. So under $4. I got a brand new lamp. This is how the lamp looks. Seriously, $4, under $4, like $3.75. That's insane. I love this. So anyway, that's everything that I picked up from the thrift store and Hobby Lobby. I feel like I lucked out so hard. We will transform some of these pieces and I'll show you just how much potential things at the thrift store actually have. Let's go ahead and jump into the thrifted DIY flips. Now I am going to be doing a few other home decor thrifted flips in my spring clean and decorate video, which will be up this next week, but I wanted to get a little head start on a few things. So you can see the 4 items that I picked to start out with. The first ones are these little easels. These I'm going to be spray painting so that I can set up a picture frame on them and just give it a little something extra. Next, I have this binder. Now this I'm actually going to be storing a lot of my digital download Etsy prints in it. I'm just going to go ahead and spray paint it gold so that it's a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. Then I have this little chestnut roaster thing. I don't ever see myself roasting chestnuts, so I'm going to be giving it a little bit of textured paint to try to cover up that chestnut roaster wording. And then, oh my gosh, this green vase. It really can only go up from here. I am going to be adding some texture onto this to make it look like pottery, but first I'm actually going to take it outside and give it a coat of spray paint. So the reason that I'm going to be doing a coat of spray paint on this first is for actually 2 reasons. One, it's going to kind of act as a primer because the spray paint that I use actually has primer in it as well. And so it's going to help that textured paint later on stick a little bit better. And then also I'm not going to have to spend as much time painting and making sure I get everything fully covered because I won't have to be covering up the green with that. Instead, I'll just have like a nice off-white base. And spray paint is incredible because it just does not take any time at all. It's very, very quick to do. And if you are going to be painting a full piece like this, I definitely recommend giving it a base coat of spray paint, especially if you have some laying around. It's just one of those quick little shortcuts. Then to that little binder, I am just spray painting the entire thing with the gold spray paint. This is actually the same gold spray paint that we used in our bedroom. It is the prettiest color, but I'll have the exact spray paint that I use linked down below. But first I'm just spray painting the inside, and then once that dries, I'll give the outside a nice coat. And then next I'm going through and just spray painting those easels. And just by giving it a coat of spray paint, it's just going to completely change the whole vibe and the whole look. Alrighty, moving into the fun part, we are just going to start on this vase that is actually turning out so pretty already. So you can see I just have like that kind of off-white coat on it at first. And here I'm just mixing up some acrylic paint. You can really use whatever kind of paint you have. If you have leftover wall paint, if you have chalk paint, if you have acrylic paint, whatever. And then you're just going to want to add in your baking soda. And the more baking soda you add, the more textured it'll be. But you don't want it to be too dry, so just kind of play around with the ratio. But I'm just using kind of like a cream color mixed with like a chestnut brown color. And then there's different ways that you can paint on this like baking soda style paint. But what I'm doing to give this some good texture and a lot of good coverage is actually just stippling it on the entire piece. And you'll see in just a minute, but it ends up looking kind of like pottery and it's so pretty. You can just see how it immediately transforms the piece. And then once this first coat dries, I'm actually just going to go back in with a little bit different color. I'm just going to add to this existing paint color with a little bit darker paint and just kind of go a little bit splotchy all around the whole piece, and that will give a little bit more dimension and just kind of add to that elevated look of this. But when Kyle walked in a little bit later, he was like, oh my gosh, is that the green vase? Like, he could not believe how different it looked. And it's really just incredible that I was able to get this piece for $4 and DIY it into something that looks like I probably spent $30 to $50 on it. I just absolutely love thrifting for that reason. Now for that little chestnut roaster piece, I am doing the same exact thing just with a little bit different colored paints, but I'm actually trying to add as much baking soda as the paint can kind of handle because I really want this to be a little bit chunky, just because I am trying to cover up that wording and the decoration on the top piece. I actually played around with the idea of using like some spackle and stuff like that to really give it a different look, but I wanted to try this first and see if I could get this to work. And if not, I can always go back in later and adjust it. But spoiler alert, this totally ended up working. I just had to put down about 3 coats of this on the top and just put the paint pretty liberally over that wording area, but it totally covered it up and it looks so cool. So I saw something kind of similar to this on Amazon, and it's like $50 or $60. You could do black or white or gold or kind of whatever you're wanting. And I really, really wanted it, but I just couldn't justify spending that much money on it. But when I saw these at the thrift store, I knew this was going to work perfectly. And I know that I got these from the thrift store, but I'm sure you can find similar ones at Walmart or Michael's, things like that, for pretty inexpensive. Here, I'm just doing what I was saying earlier. I'm just kind of going back over with a different color once the first coat dried on that vase. And it's just cool because it kind of adds to the texture. It gives a lot more dimension. And I absolutely love how this piece turned out. I knew immediately when I saw it at the thrift store, it was going to be a good one. And this DIY did not disappoint. So this should really go to show you when you go to the thrift store, look past the color, look past the texture of things, because that can be changed so easily. And you can score an amazing piece for your home for a tiny budget and really not even a lot of work. So anyway, I was actually hoping to get a lot more done in today's video, but this just ended up taking a lot more time than I originally had thought. But I am so excited to share the rest of the thrift flips in next week's video, and also be sharing how I'm going to be styling all these pieces. So make sure that you're subscribed with your notification bell on so that you don't miss out on that. And if you are needing a little bit more motivation or a little bit more company today, I'm going to link one of my recent home refreshes right here. This was where I kind of refreshed our guest room, and I did a furniture flip in here. Now I still need to go back and change up kind of how I finished off that dresser, but if you haven't already seen this one, I think you're gonna like it. So I'll have this linked right here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys!